Today for the shop, I finally got the tool that I've been waiting for years to buy. I bought a little machine shop vertical mill. So I really wanted a vertical mill for the past few years, but as you know, a lot of them are absolutely massive. That's where this one comes into play. I think I found one that's a good size that'll work in my shop. Now you know here we have a 2-bay garage and a 1-bay over there. No, I wanted to find something that'll work in here where I can keep it near the cars so I can use it on the projects. When you can't fabricate your own parts or modify parts, you're stuck at the quality level of whatever the reproduction part you're buying is. And as we know, there's a lot of reproduction parts out there that aren't exactly top quality. So by using this, I can spend some time and actually make the reproduction parts work and fit better. So I'm excited about that aspect of it.
Now, one of the main reasons why I got the mill is because when I look at restoring the 69 Mustang, some of the parts that are aftermarket aren't as great of the quality that you need, and they don't all fit correctly. You know, part of it could be because on these older cars, nothing was perfectly lined up and things kind of float around. But when we start looking at some of the aftermarket parts, there's a bunch that I've purchased that I can't use, that I have laying around, or that I've modified to make work. So by having this mill, I'll be able to modify those parts as needed. Now the other part of it is kit cars like this. When I look at kit cars like this, there is a lot of customization needed if you want to make it if you want to build it right and if you want everything to fit together right. And doing some custom work on these cars is cool. Now you can take the mill and you can build custom parts, you can build custom brackets, you can start modifying things. It really opens up the opportunity to make a cooler car and to make more of a unique car.
Let's go over the one that I bought. All right, now this here mill's from Little Machine Shop. It's a high torque, it's a 6450 model. I ended up paying just for the mill itself around $2,000. The base was another few hundred, and then I ended up spending about $700 on tooling, a vise, and a bunch of the hardware to go with it. Now it's a pretty nice setup. I thought for the price I was paying I was getting a lot of value out of it. So you have your DRO up top, so you know the XY position of essentially the different axes of the mill. You have your RPM here, so you can change the RPM. You have your fine axis here for the Z axis, so up and down. Spindle direction, and then you also have spindle on-off.
Now with a DRO, or digital readout, you can use this to put hole patterns in materials that you are machining. We're going to talk about the circular hole pattern. You can input the circle radius, the number of holes you want, the angle alpha, the angle theta, and then the center location. That will create the coordinates for the holes to drill, which are shown right here. Then you just follow that pattern along as you're drilling, and it'll create that exact pattern on the material. Now, same thing for the step hole pattern. You just enter in the inputs that you want after you pick where you want your first hole location. I usually use the center position. Then you put the X, Y, and angle, and then it'll create that pattern of coordinates that you use.
So one of the other things I was looking for when I purchased this is I wanted a model that didn't tilt, because when you get one that doesn't tilt, it's going to be more stiff than the model that you gotta lock into place. Now I brought the premium toolkit with it, and now the premium toolkit came with a vise, the thin parallels, end mills. It came with 13 R8 collets, essentially from 1/8 to 1 inch by 16ths. I bought 1, 2, 3 blocks and center drills. Now if you have a mill, you probably know you spend most of the money in tooling, not on the tool itself. So I still have a lot of parts to get, so a lot of fixturing parts that I want to get. You know, there's a few small things that I want to make for it. I need to get a dial indicator, or at least a better dial indicator set up, so I can pretty much set this vise here in position, and so I can set up any material that I plan on using with this mill, because you need to make sure it's square before you start milling.
Now to change out the bit down here, it's relatively simple, especially if you need to change out the collet. So you essentially just turn this, it has an interlock, so it locks this out, and then there's a tool here that comes with it. Take it, and then there's a slot on here where this pin will actually push into here, lock into place, so you can loosen it. Now I could take it, loosen it, and then this should free up. So you know how it works. You turn it up, you loosen a little bit, and then you hit it, and then the collet can come out as well as the bit itself. Relatively simple, really safe to use, especially if you're trying to change these out. Then to put it back in, just gonna turn it back in, tighten this, going to remove the lock here. Pull that, twist it. Now it's out of position. Now that it's out of position, it's all set up to use again.
And one of the things I'm finding out as I'm working on my kit cars, project cars, you know, you buy a lot of reproduction parts, a lot of parts that don't actually fit for the cars that you need to modify and make them work. So by having this, it's going to make everything a lot easier for me to actually pull together a lot of the projects that I'm doing and make custom parts. A good example is when I'm looking at the doors on this Factory 5 GTM. The slots actually don't fit the carriage bolts that they're supposed to go with. Now, one of the things I can use this mill for is essentially when I'm cutting out slots. So these are undersized for the carriage bolts that I have. So I actually need to make it bigger. You probably saw me use it in the last video when I was doing the hinges for this. I actually had to slot out some of the hinges on the front of the car. So essentially that's what I'm using it for, and a lot more other projects. All right, as I'm setting this up, a lot of the time actually goes into fixturing of the part to make sure it's in place so you can mill it and so that you're square. So for these, as I was looking at before, for the door, I need to open up these slots for the carriage bolts about 10 thousandths bigger, and then I should be all set. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna mill these.
All right, now let's go ahead and check after taking a little bit off. So it should just drop in and now be able to slide back and forth, both sides. Now for a part like this, you could theoretically just file it down, or you could just take a Dremel and cut out the part of the carriage knob, but I didn't want to do that because when you add some more sloppiness to this, it's not going to line up perfectly. And by doing it this way, it makes sure that I'm traveling only in the direction that I need. So if I take it a little too much on one side, then it has a chance that it's going to get hung up. But by setting it up like this, mill it perfectly straight. Now, as you can tell, I'm really excited to finally have something like this. It's something that I'm going to be utilizing for a long time to come on working on the car projects, as well as other house projects. There's stuff that I have to do around here. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything else that you think I need to buy for this as I'm setting it up for the first time for my house. I know there's a lot of parts that I still need to buy, especially if I'm going to be doing a lot of fixturing, a lot of different car parts, and what materials I should start to buy to stock. I also need to make sure that I get a lot of material stock. So I need to buy some aluminum, I need to buy some steel. I think I'm going to start by getting some 1-inch rectangle, 2-inch rectangle. Let me know down in the comments what else I should buy to have on hand for this. So thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.